Happy New Year, man. G.
Biza.
How was the Detty December for you?
Funny. I think I'm at that stage right now where I've sort of outgrown most Nigerian concerts. Because you go to these shows, there's not much that you're enjoying. That's a lot of them. If the only thing that most people go to concerts for these days is to just maybe meet people, meet women, meet men, and if you play for the other team, meet members of your team, you know. So it's but for someone like me, I chose my shows where like people are going to actually give you a show. They're going to give you a performance. For example, I looked forward to P Square and I went there because I knew they had the catalog and they were going to build the audience and they were going to give me nostalgia ultra. But for the other shows, DJ, bro, come on, man. I need someone to actually perform with the band, give us actual showmanship, you know? Yeah. Those are the things that we are going to shows for right now. Like when you go to all these shows for 2 years in a row, you understand that there's not much at those shows. Yeah. Especially since you are going to wait till 12 a.m. and then someone is going to be saying, what are you singing? You need to calm down.
Yeah, but a lot of people complain about the lateness of some of these celebrities.
Yeah, I get it's become a cultural thing now. Like more than ever before this year, the complaints were through the roof this year. It's almost like a lot of people only started going to shows this year, but this thing has been ongoing for a while. Like it's the Nigerian reality. Like everybody has grown accustomed to it. Welcome to a new dispensation. All of you that are just going to shows, you know, it's a thing of understanding concert culture, and number two, the Nigerian reality. First things first, concerts are actually meant to run into the night. Let's not lie to ourselves. Like the idea of enjoying some happen during the day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything has to be TDB. Most concerts run into the night. Some of them might stop early. Some of them might go TDB, but concerts are meant to run into the night. The problem we have in Nigeria is show organizers, when they put out the promo materials for shows, they put out some unrealistic some unrealistic kickoff time. Now, maybe a show organizer puts out, say, some show and they say 6 p.m. is when they're going to start the show, or 9 p.m. is when they're going to start the show. Most of them put 8 p.m. there this past Detty December, and most of those shows did not start till like 12. Most of them, the average time that most of them started was 1 a.m. So that's the problem that we have, and the only problem this thing is happening is because at the peak of this is artists. They are the main reason. No, before we get to artists, some of the show organizers do this because the average Nigerian has grown accustomed to African time, right? But at the zenith of this is artists. They are blatant disrespect for their fans, and the fact that they are narcissists. Most of them can't come to a show before. Most of them don't even want to come into a show. Right? They are the ones that started the remaining of the factors I'm going to talk about. And what are these other factors? Those other factors are, number one, fans don't come early. So until a venue is filled up, an artist is unlikely to come out. And that means that an organizer, until a venue is filled up, that means an organizer might not be able to make enough money for their sponsors, because what you are selling to your sponsors is eyeballs. And people that are going to have stands at your shows, you are telling them that, we are going to have people here so you can sell something. So until there's a significant amount of people there that can make everybody else, the entire ecosystem of that show, make money, it doesn't make sense to start the show. Do you understand? Like, if I bring an ASU stand to a show, for example, that person paid money for that place. So they have to make their money back. So, or if the headline sponsor for my show is, for example, BBNaija, that means what I'm saying to BBNaija is eyeballs, basically. So if I promise them 3,000 people, and my show is meant to start by 8, and by 8 p.m. I only have 500 people, it's unlikely that I'm going to start my show by then. Do you understand? So these are the dynamics that these people look at. But the only reason why this happened is because, but then it has not developed into attendees themselves, especially the experienced one, not coming to shows on time. They don't want to come. If you push shows, I would say, my guy, forget that thing. 12 a.m. we go reach there. You understand? Even members of the audience have grown accustomed to that reality. But the only problem that we got here is because Nigerian artists are the ones that started this thing. If Nigerian artists put their fans, and they respected their fans, they will be getting to shows on time. Everybody will know. Like, the only reason, the trigger for this culture is that artists don't come to their own shows on time. Look at what happened with this. A show was going to start, they put time for a show to start at maybe 8 p.m. An artist is stuck in traffic at 12. How does that even make sense? Do you understand? So, like, if you respect your fans enough, you will sleep at the venue. If they have room there, you tell them to set up a room there. If you really cared, yes, that's how it works. If you really cared, you will sleep there. Or sleep in a hotel that is very close to that place. So that before the time of the show, you're already there. But these guys don't care. And the problem is that they are narcissists. A show organizer might not be able to tell an artist that it's time for the show if the venue is not filled up. Because the artist is going to tell them that the venue is not filled up now. They want to sing. They want everybody to sing. You understand? So these are the issues. And another problem is a lot of Nigerian artists seem to think that a show that runs into the early hours, into the wee hours of the next day is a successful show. No. Brimo gives people 2 hours and you are wanting more. Because at the end for example, Brimo's last show started around like 8, ended around like 11. 3 hours of a fantastic set. Everybody has gone home. A show doesn't have to run. Irresponsibility is why a show needs to run to the next day before you determine that it's a fantastic show. No, that's perception. So everybody needs to get over themselves.
Interesting. Some other people were complaining about the pricing of the food. Yeah. Some people said it was too expensive.
Bro, the first thing that we need to understand, it's the economics of perception. The owner of a stand, for example, paid a lot of money for that stand. And there is a higher likelihood that are going to generate the amount of money that they put together to get that stand back. It's unlikely. I'm not saying it's possible. It's unlikely. Most of them don't get it back. Some of them get it back. And that means that if they are going to have any chance to get it back, they have to bank on two things. They have to bank on your desperation and they have to bank on your need. So if a show is being held at Memorial Kuala Park, for example, most of the people that are going to come for that show, a solid 70 to 80% of them don't stay around that place. Another 50% probably doesn't stay on the island. So that means that they don't know their way around that place. The only place, so if you are hungry or if you come with a date, maybe say you want me something, you have to feed, Nigerian women like food. You have to do that, you have to do the necessary. So that means that you might not know your way around that place to go and get food. So those people know that you don't. And they have to bank on that and they have to make their own money. So they have to put a lot of price on it. For example, a plate of chicken and chips at one of the shows I don't want to mention was 10,000 naira and 5,000 naira. Bro, in this Lagos, 5,000 for chicken and chips, bro. But then you can't complain. Someone was telling me that a bottle of water at Coachella is sometimes about $50 to $70 to $100 sometimes. I can't confirm that, but that's what someone told me. So if a bottle of water at Coachella is like $50, what are we talking about? So you have to understand why people do it. That's just what I'm saying. And again, these people they have to make some profit from what that means. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about young artists, what's your take on them headlining shows?
It's a very funny thing that I saw this year. I think everybody was hungover this year. Like, we didn't have Detty December in 2020. So people brought all the energy. Every night, there were about 4 shows. Every blessed night. People were constipated on shows. Like, on a good day, you used to get artists go from show to show. This year, it was way more ridiculous. People were going to 3 shows at times in a night. You perform here, go from here to here, go from here to here. But the effect of those things is that we saw a lot of 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds headline shows. And I found that to be really, really funny. Because people, as much as recency bias in terms of songs of the moment, people come to experience them at live shows. And the vanity of seeing the artist himself perform those records gives people a different dimension about the songs. For example, a day live of Wizkid on YouTube, even though it wasn't live for a lot of people, it gave people a different perspective of Made in Lagos. And dare I say, it might be one of the reasons why Made in Lagos just shot through the roof. I think that was a very key moment for Made in Lagos. So live performances give people a different dimension to the experience of the record. But what really sells the show is catalog. And so usually the amount of nostalgia that catalog can produce. Bro, one of the best shows that I've ever been to in my life, as a personal tale now, was One Day Cool Show in 2018 December. That show, although it started late, people enjoyed themselves. Do you understand? Like people felt it because One Day it was 2018, One Day had 10 years worth of hits to perform. Look at P-Square this year. They had their fights in 2017. That means people had not seen them together for 4 years. People enjoyed seeing them. Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why a lot of people are going to break their necks to go for like a D'banj or a Two-Face show or a P-Square show. Because you know what you're going to get there. You can get, these guys can perform for 3 hours if they want. I had Davido perform for like 3 or 4 hours this year. That's because of power of catalog. And because, you know, when Madam Iduro comes, everywhere is going to scatter because it's nostalgia. Nostalgia ultra. A lot of these 1 year and 2 years can't do that. And some of them don't even have albums. So that means the only thing you're going to perform is hit records, 3 hit records. Even if those 3 are hit records.
But do you think nostalgia trumps like current star power?
100%. I was at a show this year. I was at Hennessy Artistry this year. Bro, feeling came on. People obviously is feeling. But the moment the DJ played When We Celebrate, bro, everywhere scattered. Nostalgia is the currency of shows. Nostalgia and the rate at which you can treat people at length. That's what the concept is. Not the one song that you can perform for me. Most of these people, that means it's not their fault that they can't hold the set for more than 15 minutes. It's the show organizer that need to rethink their strategy. I get why they want to give people a different alternative to what is being performed in the moment. But at the end of the day, you can still give these people a different dimension without making these 1 year and 2 years making them headline shows. What you can make them do is make them opening acts to other people's shows. That's all. If Future was still an opening act on a Drake tour in 2016 or 2015, after he had released more albums than Drake, because Drake was a bigger artist, I don't see why 1 year and 2 years in Nigeria headlining shows. And we are talking, it also depends on the size of the venue. A 1 year or 2 years cannot be headlining a venue that's meant for like 2,000 or 3,000 people. It might, but bro, that's why a lot of them bank on other people to come to their shows. We have to rethink these things. And even if this happens, another thing that we have to think of is, if you want to have all the 1 year and 2 years in the same show, then make them all come together, put together shows for all of them. That's 2 ways that they can make money. I'm not trying to block anybody's bag, but the essence of show, you have to give people value for the money that they pay for tickets and tables, even.
Interesting. So what's your take on the killer of tickets for Nigerian concerts?
Cadres of tickets are very necessary. People bank on it for 3 reasons. Number 1, people have to monetize. Number 2, human vanity. And number 3, human beings, we like the hierarchy of things. We are classes, naturally. The average human being wants to prove that it's better than the next person. That's just how it is. That's why competition is a thing. So everybody wants to be on a higher level to other people, especially when you think you're on a particular level, so you can't be with the lower people. And people have to monetize that. And sometimes people monetize tickets based on, for example, I was chatting with Duke, shout out to Osita Ogie, that's Duke Concept. People in foreign countries, people that are close to the stage, their tickets are way more expensive than people are at the back. Do you understand? So the proximity matters because they're getting a better experience. It's like a football stadium. Do you get? So what we are saying in essence is, ticketing, the cadre of ticketing, it matters because people have to. Fam, these guys are not making money. They are not exactly making money from tickets. They are making money from sponsors. So the money that they can make from tickets, they have to still make it. But the problem with this year is that COVID was outside. So a lot of these people, basically, this is a VIP and regular were basically the same thing. Table tickets were the only ones that were not with everybody else. Because there was a limit, there's a cap on the amount of people that can be in a particular building at a time. So these guys couldn't afford to do it. These guys couldn't afford to go against the government. So that means they have to limit the amount of people that are going to come there. So that means they can't afford to do decadal tickets like they used to do it. But the problem with that is there are still some people who buy tickets to these shows. So if I buy a VIP ticket that's way more expensive than a regular ticket, what's the incentive for me if I'm going to be in the same place as them and I'm not even getting food or drinks?
This year, it felt like there was a lot more complaints after concerts.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Twitter trends.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why do you think people were complaining a lot after some of these concerts?
The lifespan of a Nigerian showgoer is 2 to 3 years. When you work in entertainment and you have access to shows, by your second year, the first year is going to be really thrilling. The second year is where you're going to start seeing the flaws. By the third year, you're going to start selecting shows. It's just what it is. By the fourth year, you might not even go to any shows at all, except the artists that you really, really like. So, a lot of people that are complaining this year, maybe it's their first year, or maybe first or second year. The people that have been there for a while, they don't complain. Because they know complain is probably not going to change anything. You are outraged because, man, you have never seen it before. And probably an IJGB. And maybe Bruno Mars says he's coming to show at 9, he always comes. Oh, but yeah, you go still start boy shit too. You go see, they go show you. That's how it is. So, but a lot of them, in 2 or 3 years, they won't care. Because you know that there's no amount of Twitter trends that you can do that will change anything. But the problem I have with this is, it's fine if people keep complaining because they expect value for their money and they expect their time not to be wasted. Like for example, one of the worst shows I've ever attended in my life was a show that I wasn't meant to go in on. But the amount of responsibility at that show was just so annoying that I had to go in. Fam, they said that show was going to start at 6 p.m. People got there at 6 p.m. on a beach. The show started at 2. They brought a foreign artist. Now all the opening acts were horrible. Their MCs were horrible, right? How do you expect people not to complain for things like that? Because they paid. Even if they didn't pay, you still owe them you owe them a responsibility if you're an artist or if you're a show organizer. So complaining, I don't even think complaining is a bad thing. I'm saying most people learn to live with it, but I'm also saying that it's fine if people want to complain. It's fine. Because this thing is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand.
Yes, so some of the issues with some of these shows we have complained about them is the timing and things. What do you think our artists can do to improve on some of these shows?
We have talked about timing, but secondly, a lot of Nigerian artists need to learn the power of stagecraft. Like, bro, stagecraft in Nigeria is a huge problem.
I think they're not doing enough.
Bro, they are not. I don't blame a lot of these artists because they are making a hell of a lot of money. And when you start making a hell of a lot of money in life, it's very hard for you to evolve. When you can go to a show and you know that people are screaming back at you. Someone was telling me that someone told him that one of the biggest drugs for artists is you step onto a stage, you sing into a crowd, and people sing your songs back to you. That is the biggest drug. It's the biggest drug ever. So when these people know that regardless of how bad I perform, I can hold the mic and say something, and you're going to say it back to me. You can't tell them anything about how to improve their stagecraft. They don't care. But at the same time, you still have to look at the standards. Maybe not for yourself, maybe for your fans. So you can give them something different. So you don't keep giving them vibes every year and the same thing. And that's fashion.